Good morning, welcome back to the shop. Not really good morning to you guys, you'll see this at 1 o'clock, but anyway. Neck. Did you guys see what I messed up in the last video? So, yeah, let me show you. Okay, well, so I put the neck up to here and it all matches up nicely. Maybe some of you can see already what's wrong. I even got the angle of this nice and everything like that. Well, if you zoom over here, let me show you. Zoom in a little. This is the detail of the joinery right here. So let's see what I've done wrong now. Here's the end of my neck. And it fits that angle nice, but look what I don't have. I did not leave enough room for the dovetail. I left not enough wood for the dovetail. Whoops. So let me see if I can get you back over here real quick. So I drew a quick little line about where I put my curve here. So this part, I drew where this curve is down under the table. And there's a bit of room. It's oversized for sure. There's a little tiny bit of room. But it's more like 5/16 to 3/8 of an inch maybe right here. So I think I have to recut this. I think I need to make a new one of these. Kind of annoyed myself. But yeah, this perfectly good piece of wood is, I believe, I'm gonna have to say, kind of useless. Shit. Alright, I'm just gonna make another neck blank. This slot is still plenty. The extra that I cut is on this end instead of that end. So what I'll just do is shift everything down a little, and there's still way more than enough. More than this, the headstock, this angle. There's a lot of extra. Yeah, there's a ton, like an inch or so of extra. So I'm just going to redo this same cut. And I'm just going to mark it. This time I'll just use pencil, because why not? And we'll just make a mark for the ripping. We'll do one on this side too, so I can see while I'm cross-cutting. And we'll just say stop. Stop somewhere in this area. Alright, and I'm just going to make another quick cross-cut. Thankfully, this stuff cuts really easily. Okay, so I've got my block milled nicely, ready to be used for its next job. So we're going to do the layout again. But this time we're going to put things in the right places. And we're going to do this. I'm going to make future prevention happen here too while I'm at it. So the piece that's missing, so I drew everything off of this part of the drawing. And what it doesn't show is like that there's a dovetail in here. That's up in this part of the drawing. And so what I'm going to do is, to prevent future bonehead bozo moves, I'm going to mark this side of the drawing to indicate that there is a dovetail in here behind the body. And I'm just going to mark it, because this isn't a square cut, so I'm just going to mark it at 15 millimeters at both ends, and then I will take a small rule and just dotted line this together so that it's clear things need to have a little extra length. And I will remind myself here, make sure I'm not over a bench dog hole here, so I'm just going to put in the word dovetail. Don't forget the dovetail, and then we'll just like that. Now, anytime I use this plan, I'm going to actually change the drawing in the PDF so that it indicates that that's there, so people in the future maybe see it. I think I can get that updated, or at least offer as an update that that's in there, because that is a real stinker. All right, so I've also, not only have I squared this end, the face and edge, I cut this end at that angle that I need. And so all I'm going to do is extend it down here now. And everything lines up beautifully. Yes, it does. And then I'm going to go about kind of the same process as before. I think I need to put a little bit of an extend of this line so that I can see where I need to mark my board. Then I can see all this stuff. So I'm just trying to get everything lined back up so I can remark it. I'm going to spare you the marking since you've already sat through it once. We don't need to make you sit through it again. So I'm just going to get this all laid out now and transfer all the lines up here, and then we'll do the curves again. So I'll give you a little fast forward here. Alright, so it was this, now is this. Just longer. All I did was basically shift it that way, shift it that way, shift it that way, shift it that way, shift it that way. Wow. So there, neck blank is now this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Maybe you guys can come up with a solution. Can I just throw some pins or something and tack something on here? I don't think that's good. Yeah, I'm sort of mournful that I'd be wasting a piece of wood to throw this out. I don't want to. But can I salvage it with the neck not having the tenon that I'd like? I don't know. Can I throw a floating tenon in here? Something. I don't know. I could make a shallower dovetail. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. Some of you luthiers out there, give me some tips on whether I can, somehow get this to join solidly. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. Let me know if you do, if you have an answer, if I can salvage this other neck. Alright, so we got this thing set. I think we're going to go ahead and get the fretboard ready. Try and decide what to do next. Yeah, I'm going to get the fretboard ready. Let this thing move around for a few days, or at least a day. Let's see how far that one moved. Did it move much? No, it did not. Just a tiny bit, it looks like. Yeah, so I think it's going to be pretty stable. In the end, I ended up with a more quarter sawn. This is the short neck here. You see the grain lines there? Compared to this one, I ended up with a more quarter sawn board. So in the end, this neck should be stiffer, hopefully. So yeah, that means it's time to figure out my next steps. So I'll bring you back when I've got whatever that is. Alright, so now I just got the headstock clamped up in the vise, and I'm just getting it kind of flattish. Using Dave's famous plane, Dave's famous plane. I'm just taking off these really egregious high spots here. Yeah, I'm just trying not to introduce any twist if I can help it. This couldn't possibly plane easier. I'm going as downhill on the grain as you possibly could be. I'm doing coming up on my lines, not for a bit yet. There we go. I think we're pretty close to flat there. Check it. Where's my... Yep, still pretty flat all the way. A little down on that end, but that's okay. So I've got a line here to where the nut will go. I think I may pop out the other plane to do the final bits here. Maybe I will just do this. We are really close to our line, especially on that side. There we go. Let's check our flatness again here. Looking good, looking good. I don't know what that means. That was kind of creepy, actually. A little bit more on this side here. That should be pretty good. Yeah. It covers all of the things I needed to be concerned about. And this headstock plate is still way longer than it needs. You'll see here, if we set this where the nut goes, I've got almost an inch out here, so not too worried about that part. So that is now pretty much 2-dimension on that side. I have to do the same on the back of it, and that's always a bit of a challenge, but I'm sure I got enough to play with there. I do get myself worried looking at stuff. Nah, plenty. There's a 1/16 of an inch to remove, in fact. Okay. So, that is this face and this face potentially finished. There's a little bit of room here for me to tweak if I need to, but pretty much those are done. I'm going to let them do their thing, I think. Let them do these things, I think. And see what I get if anything moves on me in a couple of days here. So I think we're going to move our attention to the fretboard here for a little bit, and come back to this in a little while. Okay, so we've got out our rosewood bit here, and I'm just looking for where in this my fretboard, and I think I'm going to do headstock plate and bridge. I think I'll do them all as rosewood. So I've just got my headstock plate template here, and this end is perfect. There are no checks or anything, so I can come right up to this end just fine. And the headstock plate is longer than the bridge needs to be, so, and they're both thin, so underneath this is also where the bridge will come out of. And I think we can do it a bit like, probably a bit like that. And then we need 17.5 for the fretboard, actually just a little bit more. I'm going to make it, I've got it 18.25 here, so that when I slice off for the headstock plate and bridge, then in here is my fretboard. I'll get at least 2 fretboards out of this thickness. It's a full inch thick. Fretboard only needs to be 1/4. I might be able to get 3 fretboards out of that. And I'll tilt it so that it aligns with the way the grain's running as well. So really quickly, I'm going to go over and cross-cut these 2 chunks, because headstock plate needs to be a different thickness than the fretboard. So yeah, we'll go chop a couple of these off real fast and then get set up to resaw them. Alright, so we've got our headstock plate piece jointed nicely square, fretboard piece jointed nicely square, and they are different thicknesses, so I'm just going to start out by getting my headstock plate one, which is around 1/8 of an inch. It's actually 3 millimeters, so I'm going to cut it a little heavy, as I usually do, and leave a little room for sanding. Okay, I think I'll be able to get this through the drum sander, I think. So we'll just gently slice off a piece and get after it. It's going to be a little noisy, so bear with that. Alright, well, it was cutting so well because this rosewood is really dense that I did a set of 3 headstock plates, and there's still plenty for a bridge. I could get two bridges. Could probably get at least 2 bridges out of this. And I got 3 headstock plates now, plenty. Yeah, it's cutting so well because of the oiliness and the density of the wood. It's really smoky. I don't know if you saw the cloud of smoke that it was doing, but we're ready to do the fretboard. I'm going to set this somewhat close to 1/4 inch, and we'll call that our final dim. Give me some more blade here, some more teeths. No, that's too tight. There we go. Now we're a little tighter than that. There we go, a little more than that. That's a little over a 32nd bigger. And so we'll just do the same thing. I'll just slice off. This is my square edge here. I will just slice off as many as this thing will give me is what I will slice off. So I'm probably going to get 2. I might get lucky and get a 3rd, so we'll see. Alright, so noisiness. And it's time for everybody's favorite. Drum sanding! Boo, I hate this part, but necessary. So I'm gonna do up all of the things I cut. So I cut this. I got 3 fretboard stock out of it. 3 pieces that are worthy of a fretboard. Another piece that could be inlay or overlay. I'm not going to actually sand it until I've decided, oh, you know what, it's got a split, so I better double check these fretboards too. So that may not be all that useful, but I've got these 3 things. I've got 3 headstock plates on this side that are a full 1/8 inch, over an 1/8 inch thick, and enough for the bridge bit. That should work out as well. So what I'm going to just do is the lovely boring process of drum sanding the heck out of these things. So enjoy some beautiful music while I make these things all smooth. Okay, so now that we've got them sliced nicely, I'm going to do a little bit of a layout thing. I'm curious to see if this will even be feasible. Probably will not, but I'm giving it a shot. So what I've got is a kind of a tapered workpiece here. And it just so happens that on this end, it is wide enough for 2 fretboards at their narrow width, and on this end, it is wide enough for 2 fretboards at their widest point. Oh, you know what's going to happen there, I think. We'll see. Let's see. what I'm trying to do is seeing if I can get 2 fretboards out of this board. If not, it's not a big deal. This is a game of just layout experimenting. So the first dimension is 1 inch and 23/32. So it's this way will work easiest if I just look at that and go, it's 1/32 short of 3/4. Geez, math. Is that right? Yes, that is right. Okay. And it might mean that we are not as wide as I thought it was. So let's say we go with 1 right there. Can we get another 1 and 23/32 out of you? We actually sure can. Okay. So there's that one. The other end, and this is wider or longer than it needs to be. 17.5 is where we're going to make our marks for. So somewhere in this area. And now this edge is 2 1/4. It's actually a 32nd below 2 1/4. Is there enough to get that? There's barely enough to get that. Just enough with kerf. Okay. So if I were so inclined to be super frugal, at least with this one, it'd be minimal sapwood on one edge. What it means then, is I could be a tightwad about this. I might end up including a wormhole here. We'll see. So let's get these 2 lines connected. Where'd that one go? There it is. I'm just being curious. This probably is not how I'm going to do it because I kind of want to be a bit more selective about the wood. But there's one. And let's go say, well, let's say we burn 1/8. I'm not going to burn 1/8, but let's say we burned 1/8, 4/32. And then we go 1 and 23/32 again. Oh yeah, barely catches. Go right there, and then we'll do 1/8 here. And then do 2 and just under 1/4. Oof. It's not quite enough. So even this board, it's too tight. I would absolutely have to use a kerf smaller than 1/8. Yeah, we're going to get into sapwood here. So this is enough to satisfy my experimental curiosity, and there's sapwood in there, and I don't want it. Okay. That was a pointless exercise, but it was kind of fun. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to this side, and I'm going to look at this board, and I'm going to find a location of some of this, at what angle is the grain the straightest, because there's a bit of a curve here. So this looks really good here. I want to include this area, and the question becomes, do I put the narrow end here and the wide end here? Let's go with right here. We do, I don't mind including this little dark strip, I think right in here. So let's go with 2 1/4 here. Let's say, yeah, that actually could work quite well. Let's go with right here to right here. Okay. And then let's come down about 17.5. Went a little long there so that it would have room. And let's say, for the most part, I'm just going to pick a location for this line. How about right there. And I'm just going to draw a line. This is now our edge. Yeah, it moved. Okay. That's going to be our edge, so that means from here we'll go 1 inch and 23. Okay, and this would be our width of this board right here. So there to there would buy us 1 fretboard. Like that. And then we cut it where it makes the most sense, probably like it is. And that would buy me a fretboard that has most of the grain running linearly, lengthwise. I think I like that. I actually do. I think I do like that quite a lot. Because that gets almost perfectly straight grain. It's fairly close. It's not wrong. It's good. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I think this actually might be my fretboard here. Yeah, let's cut this out and see how it looks to my brain. Actually, what am I doing? I'm going to rough cut this about 1/8 away because I plan on using the CNC to cut the profile. So let's do about 1/8 to 1/4 on either side of the line, and we'll get a better feel for things here. Alright, onward to this zone. I'm going to definitely put dust collection in because I have a feeling this rosewood will eventually make me somewhat sensitive. So we'll get that going. And some noise. Okay, so now we've got this fretboard that's sort of at the wrong angle on the ends, but the grain runs pretty straight through it, so that's awesome. Now what I'm going to do is, the plans have the center line marked beautifully, so I'm going to get the center line onto this. And I'm going to do that by transferring lines first, so transferring these dots. And what I'll do is, I'm thinking, I can actually go perpendicular from one of them so that it makes it easier. Where did I put my square? Anybody seen my square? Where's my square? Fine, I'll use this one. So I could do this square. I think I will. Okay. So this, I'll put the divider. This is already set at 50% of the wide version of the. Yep, that's beautiful. Okay, so there's center of the wide dimension. And I'm going to run over to the plans again and set this up to be center of the narrow dimension next. Alright, we are now set to 50% of the narrow end, and we're going to take from the point that I had just placed, we're going to take that and find a rough gauge of 17.5-ish, and just sort of, I'm going to put this square on here too. We're just sort of eyeballing it here. So it looks like right around there. Oop, don't drop it. And I'm going to put this on my near line and then come into this at around the 17.5 mark right there, and then just double check it with my other line. It looks good. That's my center right there. Okay, now I have two dots that denote my center line, and I can just connect those 2 dots, and I will use that line to get things square and aligned on the CNC because it's going to be used for cutting the fret slots. Let's get my sharper pencil. That one is the sharpest. And I'm going to mark a nice good sized line down the center of this thing. That's beautiful. That is right where it belongs. Beauteous. Yep, that's right. Okay. That is our center line of the fretboard. Everything will be done off of this. That includes the final dimensions. It includes the overall length. That tells me this fretboard's got enough in it to do all of that with it. And I think this thing could be thrown on and frets cut. Yeah, we are at that point where we could be putting frets on this thing. Trying to decide which face I like. We're going to wet this down a little bit and see what happens. Yeah, so that's all set. We got the center line for this. I think that's going to be my fretboard. I don't think I want to try it with the other ones. Yeah, so we'll bring it back here in a second. Next thing I want to do, I think, is get my headstock plate worked out. So let's decide which piece I like the best. Got 3 choices. That one's got some shimmer in it. I like it. That one has some, but not as... It's different shimmer. Oh, there's some shimmer in that, yeah. Okay. I'm just looking at the wood and seeing what it's doing. Ooh, that's cool. I think I may like this one best. It's pretty neat, though. Just depends on what angle. Okay, they've all got it. It just depends on what angle. I don't like that one as much for this. Let's have a peek at you. I'm just getting a sense of what its grain wants to do here. It's pretty cool looking, but I think I'll wait on that one as well. So it's this guy, huh? Oh yeah, that'll do. Yeah, this one's got some weird chatoyant thing that's seems more even along on the face. So this is going to be our headstock plate, and the grain seems to spread a little bit this way. So I think I kind of want to do the headstock plate so that the grain does that spreading thing sort of as the headstock spreads. So I'm just kind of looking for a nice parallelism. It's a shame I can't get more of this pink in there, but there's just not enough of that pink in there. Yeah, I like this thing. This one's nice. I think we'll go like that. Right about. How's about earring in this? Right there. How's that? Ooh, too far. Let's go there. Right there. Okay. I'm just going to mark this out roughly, and I'm gonna cut near the line on it, but I am not going to go nuts with it. In fact, what I will do is I will cut the line where the nut goes. This thing I want straight anyway. So what I will do is I will make a cross cut on there until it hits that line, so that it's a good line, and then I'll rough cut this on the rest of this on the bandsaw. Okay, really quickly, I just cut this edge so that basically that is the angle that it will sit at when it's applied, so it can bump up against the nut. Now I'm going to go over to the small bandsaw and cut a little outside of each of these, all this edging, and just have this cut. Alright, here we go. And just a real fast, very small operation here. Just cut. Little dust collection though. That'll help. And I'm staying at least 3/16 away from the line, because I'm going to make this flush on the headstock when that's done. So I want a lot of extra room. Cutting thin stuff is kind of a noisy op. Cut here. cut headstock plate, very rough cut. Kind of gets it in the vicinity. Let's lay out the bridge next, I think. All right, so the bridge has to be about 1.5 inches. The blank for the bridge has to be about 1.5 inches this way. This edge has already been jointed, and it's very close to parallel with this grain. You can see it's a little bit off, but not by far. But by the time you get down into this area where, you know, we're talking 1.5 inches is here, this is really good. So what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll set this to, I'm going to set the table saw fence to 2 inches and rip it right here, and then I'll set it to 1.5 inches or 1 5/8, a little bigger than I need it, and rip it the other way so that I end up with just this dark stuff, not the light pink stuff, because I don't really want the pink in the, oh no, that will not do. I've got a bit of a crack right there. That crack is bad too. There's your crack right there. Ugh. Okay, well then let's see if there are any others. Does not look like it. Looks like we're okay the rest of the way here. Yeah, dang. Okay, well now we need to go get that edge parallel. I'm going to do that right here with my hand plane, and we'll get a straight edge to work off of. Just got the plane out here. Try to get past where any of that grain was not stable. Let's see if we stayed straight. Yep. And that grain feels good. Okay. Let's make sure we're square now. This might need a little bit of adjustment here. No, I lie. Thought I nailed it. I did not. No. Yeah, okay, so we're high on this side. Yeah, we're a little high on this side. I think I'll set this so that I can check it this way. Yeah, I'll do it about to that point. I'll raise this up a bit here. Call that straight enough, and now I know which side to take wood from. I think I'm going up against the grain now. Yeah, I think I'm against the grain now. This right there. That. Yeah, that's better. There we go. Well, we're close. I'm going to try to get a little bit more here in the center bit. Check for straight while we're here. Yeah, let's just try to get a good full shaving here. There we go. That felt really good. It felt good because it is good. That's good. Good, good, good. All right. Now I don't have to worry about that sappy wood area. So I'm just going to take this over the table saw, set it to a little over 1.5 inches, and get us a blank. We'll be right back. Okay, so neck blank is cut, or sorry, bridge blank is cut. I'm going to sort of stop on this for the moment because I want to get the I want to get moving on the fretboard a little bit more here. Yeah, I think I'd like to get the fretboard going a bit. But we've got our headstock plate, we've got our bridge blank. These guys are going to match very nicely. This one looks a little darker because I cleaned it. These will do the same when they get cleaned up. So I'm going to think it's I think it's time we start working on, I can start building a fixture to hold fretboards. Since I'm doing this enough, I'm going to show you this process a little bit. So we'll take a tiny bit of a detour and make one more fixture, jig fixture holding thing. So we're gonna get a way to make fretboards, a way to slot fretboards with the CNC slotting jig, with the slotting rig that I built. But I need a fixture to hold it, so I'm going to show you that next.